So I showed up like 10 minutes late or something because I was streaming. And I turned it off. I rushed there, and I started talking to my dad a little bit and the family, and then I talked to my dad. And I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't believe it. Like today, like I against all these other people that are like competing, like I had this many subs or whatever.
So
Yeah.
maybe another way to put it is that your dad's love was conditional and your mom's love was unconditional.
Okay. That's a bit of a dark thought, but
Yep.
it could make sense, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's dark about that?
That's a strong word, that's all.
Yeah.
Conditional, that's a strong it's a strong word.
How does it make you feel to hear it?
Mm, well, I don't want to hold my parents and throw them under the bus and hold them to such labels.
Fair. So let's talk about that for a second.
Mhm.
So a lot of times I will use strong words to amplify what is low in the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
For the record, I think it sounds like your parents are amazing and wonderful people. And I think they've done, it sounds like a good job raising you. I'm not hearing any kind of abuse or any kind of shit like that. I think this is just how human beings work. Like, so I think my parents were wonderful as well, but I still had hangups. So can I tell you a story?
Yeah, yeah.
So when I was, let me just think about where to start this story. So when I was finishing up my training in Boston, I had done a really good job. So I was like, I distinguished myself in some ways, and was at a pretty competitive kind of institution where there are a lot of bright people. And so I'd kind of distinguished myself, and then I had a mentor who had been supporting me for like 6 years, and started to become kind of paranoid that like I'd created this thing, and I was like afraid that he was going to like take it over. And I had some reason to believe that, but like I'd kind of thought that this was
Okay.
something that.
I stop you. I don't wanna go into the story more, with lack of precision. I kinda felt like I missed a part of the story.
Sure.
Um, you were doing well, better than some of the bright people or whatever, and then what?
And then I got paranoid that one of my mentors was going to take credit for my work.
Oh, okay.
So what I had done is I'd created a program. So I'd created something called a consult service where people with mental health problems could come and learn like meditation and use herbs and other kinds of like Eastern stuff to help with their anxiety and their depression. And it was going very, very well because a lot of people are interested in that and it works really well. And I was afraid that one of my mentors would basically take over that program, which I had essentially built from the ground up.
Mhm.
And it was really weird because the guy had been nothing but supportive. And so
Yeah.
I was doing some kind of introspective work and actually learning a particular kind of therapy at that time. And as part of learning that therapy, I had to do my own, I like was kind of playing the role of the patient. So I was examining my own issues. And so we came up with this issue for me to work on. And what I realized is that like this fear that someone who has been nothing but supportive is going to take away what I've built actually comes from my childhood. And when I was 13 years old, this was back before the internet was a thing, or even younger, there used to be these things called bulletin board systems, BBSs. And back before there was a centralized internet, what happened is you had a phone line and you would connect to one other computer through a phone line. And so what
Yeah.
I did is my computer was a server that I hosted games on. And then like there would be all these kids at school who would dial into my computer and use my server to take their turns in the game. And then like 30 kids would play like this awesome game called Barren Realms Elite, which is still an awesome game. So it's kind of like Clash of Kings and stuff now. It's sort of like you take your turn every day, you spend resources, you build armies, you attack other people, and it's like
Yeah,
competitive.
like Travian or whatever, you know that website?
No.
Yes, whatever. That's
Okay.
whatever.
So,
Same thing.
but back then, like, we had two phone lines at my home. So I hosted the server. And then what I would do is charge $10 a week for people to get access to my server. And it became
Okay.
like a super popular thing. And I was making like $300 a week. And like, that was a lot of money back in like 1990.
Oh, for sure.
And so, I created this thing, and then like the funny thing is like my parents were. I'm lucky. I'm the son of two physicians. So my parents like had a big house and like they basically bought me whatever I wanted. I didn't need any money. So I was like making money and I was making money for the sake of making money. And I didn't have any way to spend it. Because like if I wanted something, they would just get it for me. Or what I mean, they would get it
Yeah.
for me if my grades and stuff were good. And so like one day, like my dad found this gigantic wad of cash. And he was like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "Well, I stole it." And he was like,
I'm balling, dude.
I was like, "No, man, he's like, "You didn't steal it." He's like, "What is this?" And he's like, I told him I was like, "I started a business and
Yeah.
I'm making a bunch of money." And so then what he did is he took the money away and he shut down the business. And he said, "You've got to focus on your studies." And like he was actually like proud of me because he like knew that I was an entrepreneur and all that kind of crap. So he was like kind of proud, but he also like shut it off, right? Like he did what I mean I think is reasonable for a parent to do, which is to say like you should really be focusing on studying. Like you should do what I think you should do instead of doing what you think you should do. Sound familiar with your dad, by the way? And
Uh, yeah.
and then like I realized that in some ways like that left a psychological imprint. My dad was like a great person and he loved me a lot and he was a great guy, but if you just listen to me talk about that story and how it affected me today,
Mm-hmm.
that's where my paranoia was born. That someone who cares about me, and it's a very specific pattern, it's that someone who cares about me like is going to take away what I've built.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't make him a
Um,
bad person. It's just like that's what happens because our psychology is imperfect and young minds are impressionable. And like they
yeah.
don't understand the complexity of what our parents send us.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so in go ahead.
Well, I have something like that then.
Tell me.
I think. Um, I can't think of something like very much in the past. Much more something like kind of recent. In a time where like I'm looking for that validation or I'm looking for that effect, and I didn't get it, and it kind of like it didn't mark me, but kind of did. Um, I had just swapped because I used to play another game on stream, and I had swapped to this new game, Overwatch, and I was streaming it, and I was really good at the game, but then I started streaming it a lot, right? I'd put like a lot of hours, and I was enjoying myself a lot. At the same time, I care about being good, being whatever. I still care about the stream a lot because uh, I want the stream to feel like it's going forward, just like my rank and my playing like pedigree or career or whatever. And it's very hard first because my English was really bad. It's not the best, but I just felt like I want to do that in English because I used to stream in French, and that's what I want to do, and I want to do good. And then I just felt like there's no way I could ever do it because who would listen to some guy who doesn't speak English properly? And I just felt like kind of like the world's against me type of thing, but I still did it. And I would get like small milestones, like, oh man, look, today we had like 2 subs or something. And after a while, after like a crazy amount like grind, if you want, or whatever, I got this. It was like Christmas Day or something, and I had a total of like I think it was 212 subs. I remember it was like 220 or 212 or something. And I was like, I cannot believe it. I think I've just peaked or something. Like I've plateaued. Like this is it. This is like holy shit. I can't believe that 200 people would subscribe to my channel, dude, and they don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Um, and then I turned the stream off, and I had to go to this. At the time, I wasn't living with my parents anymore, so I had to go to this Christmas party, right? So I show up like 10 minutes later or something because I was streaming. And I turned it off. I rushed there, and I started talking to my dad a little bit and family, and then I talked to my dad. And I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't believe it. Like today, like I against all these other people that are like competing, like I had this many subs or whatever, and I have this much value to my channel. Like that's crazy. And then he kind of just looked me like to the side, and he just kind of said, uh, "Okay, so when does that make you go back to school?" And I'm like, fuck, man, it just kind of crushed me.
Yeah,
You
man.
know? Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's crushing. So then I felt like it wouldn't matter like what the numbers would be at, because I felt like that was like a crazy number, even though uh, I feel like it didn't matter because any direction in that path, any heights, it wouldn't matter. It'd be irrelevant. That's why I started making those systems where I get validations from in other forms because I clearly wasn't getting it there. You know?
Yeah, I think it goes a little bit. I mean, that's rough, man. I got emotional hearing that because I think we all knew where that was going. But
Yeah.
I think so. So here's the thing, Felix. Don't get distracted.
Yeah.
What are you?
Sorry.
You're looking around.
No, 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 no. It's okay. I had like some Discord stuff pop up. I'm
Yep.
fine now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think here's the problem. You say
Yeah.
that you needed to create systems of validation because you weren't getting validation from your dad. I think the issue here is it's not validation that you weren't getting from your dad. It is fundamental sense of value.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like there's a different
Yeah.
like
It does.
right? So like that was the moment that instead of your value as a human being here, it came down over here. Because here you were proud of yourself and you said, "Look, I did something. I'm proud. I accomplished something." And then you were up here and then your dad moved you down here. In that
Yeah.
moment, that's when so that's not validation. It's devaluing. And then you need validation to fill that gap.
Hmm.
But before that moment, I don't know that you needed any validation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
validation, like the problem with validation is that like your intrinsic sense of value, and now we kind of go back to the beginning of the conversation, is like, imposter syndrome is because you don't believe that the person on stage deserves to be there. It's a statement of intrinsic value. And then you need validation because that's the only way you can get back up because you believe you're starting down here, right? It's the fucking bike with the broken chain. Your whole life,
Yeah.
it's a bike with a broken fucking chain.
Yeah. Definitely is.
And that's sad, bro.
Is
That
it?
this is the life? Yeah. Because the thing is, you don't have a broken chain. You are $1,000 bike.
Pog.
Yeah.